everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, we were having a little bit of Mercury retrograde technical difficulties with my computer, so that's why we're doing it in this form. But I'm really, really excited to talk about this topic. One, because, astrology is a very, very, very ancient practice, and there's different texts that astrologers, people get information from. So there's ancient texts that are not even fully available to us now because they're either just not available because they're not found. And then there's modern texts. So astrology itself is a mystery. There's so much that we don't even really fully understand about the planetary placements. So I am very excited about this because I have for a very long time been looking at the North Node and the South Node through a certain lens. And I guess the lens that I've been looking at that through has just been more of the modern perspective of what that is. And the reason why I wanted to do this class was because I was researching and learning more about this specific topic. I'm very interested in the nodes. I think that they are the keys to the chart. But what I found out was that the way that I was looking at the nodes and the way that I was seeing the nodal axis was actually incorrect. And I only recently literally found this out. And it made so much sense to me when I finally understood, based on the ancient texts, how the astrological nodes are really supposed to be seen and used, because your chart is your map, it's your tool, it's your blueprint. And I will say that the nodes are one of the most important keys. It's one of the most important parts of your map. Obviously, your whole chart is important, and the way that it all synchronizes together is very personal and individual to everybody. But if you don't understand what a planet does, what it's for, then you're going to live your life. If you're into astrology, you're going to look at your nodes like I have actually done and thought, oh, this is how I'm supposed to approach it. This is what it is. And there was sort of always a disconnect, but I'm not really understanding. This isn't really connecting. This isn't really making sense, even though I'm doing this. And then also, based on what I had learned, I was also reading charts and also telling people the first original way to work with their nodes, which is from the modern texts, not the ancient text. So I'm going to get into what the nodal axis is and all about the nodes. And this is the first time I'm ever explaining it in this way, which on a personal experience, I'm actually seeing how that's happening in my own life. So without further ado, we're going to start the presentation. Okay, so the astrological nodes of the moon. On the left, we have the North Node, which in Vedic astrology is known as Rahu, and it's the dragon's head. And on the right, we have the South Node, which is known as Ketu in Vedic astrology, also ancient astrology, and that's known as the dragon's tail. And if you see there, there is the Ouroboros in the center, and it's inflamed with fire. And that is because the astrological nodes of the moon are actually dragon energy, they're serpent energy, and they are the energy of fire. And fire is the energy of transformation. So if you just want to take a little bit a look at those symbols, the symbols in astrology itself are very activating. And I will get into what these nodes mean. If you do go and look up your chart, you will see that the North Node and the South Node symbols will indicate the house and the sign that your North Node and South Node is in. Okay, so what are the lunar nodes on a more technical level? The lunar nodes are not planets, they're intersection points. They're points in space between the orbit of the moon and the sun and the earth. And what's really amazing about the nodes is they're directly related to eclipses. After I explain this, if there's any more questions later about this, because this could be a little confusing, feel free to ask. Now, in your own chart, you have the North Node and the South Node, which does not change. Those are the nodes, that's the nodal group that you're born into. Those are the nodes that you're born into, and they do not change. However, we do have what's known as collective nodes. And every 18.6 months or so, the nodes will shift. Nodes always move backwards. They're always retrograde in a chart to a new sign, okay? So whenever the nodes move into a new sign, we're basically exploring the energy of that new sign. But what's happening is we're trying to heal that access. So for example, right now the North Node is in Gemini and the South Node is in Sagittarius. So that's the axis that we're working with. And wherever the nodes, the collective nodes that change are, they also fall in your chart. So they also fall on houses in your chart. So for example, if you are a Gemini and the North Node is now in Gemini, that's going to fall in your first house of your chart, which is all about yourself, your identity, who you are. And these nodes are connected to the eclipses. So whenever we have eclipses, let's say we have an eclipse in Gemini, a solar or lunar eclipse, that eclipse energy is going to affect that area of your house, that area of your life. Okay. So solar eclipses open up timelines, they begin new things, and lunar eclipses close timelines, they end things. I've personally experienced lunar eclipses literally eclipsing like a relationship out of my life, like from the next day to from one day to the next, like done, over. And then the solar eclipse opened up a completely brand new timeline for me that I couldn't have even imagined taking. Okay, so the nodal axis, here's some stuff for you to understand. So like I said before, in your natal chart and in general, the motion is always retrograde for your nodes, for your North Node and South Node. It's always retrogrades. The North Node and South Node are connected to the moon. So it's very important to see where your moon placement is as well, and see how they interact with the nodes. The North Node and the South Node are always opposite of each other. So they are both sides of the same coin. So let's say your North Node is in Aries, then your South Node is going to be in Libra. But Aries and Libra are really actually soulmates. They're really actually twin flames, but they're different. But when they come together, there's a synchronization of the same coin, of a whole. At the same time, it's also going to be in the opposite house. So if your North Node is in the first house in Aries, then your South Node is going to be in Libra in the 7th house. Another thing that's really interesting is that the nodes can't aspect any planets. They can't square, they can't trine. However, they can be in the same sign as a planet. And so therefore that would be conjunct. So you can have your North Node in Aries in the 7th house and your Sun in Aries in the 7th house. Okay, so let's get a little bit into the myth, which is really going to help us understand the nodes a little bit more. So like I said before, the nodes are dragon energy. They're really intense. In Vedic astrology and in ancient astrology, they are actually considered malefic. They're not benefic. And the reason why is because if these points are out of balance, they can actually cause a lot of chaos. They can cause a lot of frustration. They can cause a lot of inner and outer turmoil if we do not balance, or we do not properly heal this nodal axis, because you want to understand that the nodal axis is something that needs to be healed. So in the ancient myth, um, basically the gods, the sun and the moon were the gods, and they wanted to create an elixir for eternal youth, eternal life. And this elixir would teleport you back to any age that you wanted to, and you would live forever. But in order to do that, they had to summon up the dragon energy. Because once again, the dragon energy is mutation and transformation and regeneration. So they summoned up this dragon, and the dragon was supposed to breathe fire on the elixir, and the dragon did that. And just as the sun and the moon were about to take that elixir, the dragon actually stole the elixir, drank it for its own immortality, and the sun and the moon ended up cutting the dragon in half, hence the dragon's head and the dragon's tail. And the dragon is eternally chasing its tail in order to unify with itself. So that is kind of how we have to think about the nodal axis in terms of when we come into this lifetime. There's sort of a disconnect. And I'll, obviously explain that more. In addition, the south node is the stomach. Okay, so the south node is hungry. It's the stomach. It needs something. It wants something. It's very instinctual. But it needs the north node to feed itself, and the north node is the mouth. But if the south node, if the tail doesn't know that it needs the north node, then it's literally, pushing up that stone up the mountain, and it just keeps falling. And so it's like this cycle that doesn't work. So inevitably, the nodes are here to work together. But sometimes, a lot of times, that's not something that we are aware of. Okay. So what is this whole journey of the South Node and North Node really about? It's about your soul's evolution. It is about going on a journey and coming back home. And it's also about your transformation, your soul's transformation. It has a lot to do with the karmic cycle that you're in. And it is about liberating yourself from a karmic cycle that can go on and on and on. And, if you do believe in past lives, some astrologers believe that this karmic cycle, the nodal axis, is not, it's not figured out in one lifetime. It can be something that you're doing over and over and over. So the nodal axis is about a journey. It's about your soul's evolution. And ultimately, it's about your integration. And it's about coming back home and realizing who you really are. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the node specifically and what the south node is. So the south node is known as K2. It's the dragon's tail, and the energy with the south node is decreased. So the south node has to do with our past lives. And if you don't believe in past lives, it has to do with the earlier part of our life. The south node has to do with an area or an experience that we've lived over and over and over again. It's our comfort zone. It's the patterns, the behaviors that we are comfortable living. The South Node also shows us where we have innate talents, innate gifts that we came into this life with. At the same time, the South Node could also be gifts that we may be unaware of. where we need that north node to activate that awareness. The South Node is about having outdated thinking, outdated beliefs, a perspective or a perception that we are living our life through that just isn't going to work for us anymore if we keep looking at things through that lens. There's a strong longing, there's a strong craving, there's even a nostalgia to the South Node. It's like this thing that you deeply want, that you're trying to create for yourself. But you can't create it with the same software. You can't create it with the same technology. You can't get it doing the same thing you've done over and over. It's essentially all you've ever known. But the South Node is really important because it allows you to achieve your North Node. Okay. The South Node is very often what we pursue, or what we strive for in the first 30 to 35 years, sometimes longer. So earlier in life, many of us are walking through that South Node, and we're trying to get what it is that we want to get that's based on who we've been over and over and over. But we're for some reason it's not working. For some reason it's the universe kind of throws up challenges towards us. So the South Node creates a lot of frustration when we just live there. But there is a reason to be in that frustration. There is a reason to live in that South Node, because that's part of the process. The South Node and the North Node, one is not better than the other. They are an experience that we need to get to ultimately where we're going. So experiencing that frustration, experiencing that tension is kind of what wakes us up in a sense. And that's because the South Node is unconscious behavior. It's subconscious memory. It's our shadow. It's exaggerated tendencies. And as I said before, it does not need to be left behind. So one of the common things that a lot of astrologers say, I was saying this, that the South Node needs to be left behind. Like, you don't need it anymore. You did that. You're done. That's not true. I thought it was true. That's what I learned. But, now through my own experience, what I realize is no, the South Node is part of you. It's one part of you. It's one part of the coin. It's one half of who you are. It's one part of your experience. It does not need to be left behind. It needs to be leveled up. It needs to be upgraded. It needs to meet its other counterpart. It needs to experience and meet its other half. It has to go on a journey to a part of itself that it didn't even know it existed. So that's you going on a journey and experiencing a part of yourself that you didn't even know you were, and hence transformation. Okay, so I'm using this archetype. I love this film. I really feel like The Matrix really shows the South Node and North Node journey. So we have Thomas A. Anderson, cyber criminal computer programmer, and he is living in his South Node. This is all he's ever known. He doesn't look very happy. He doesn't have a lot of excitement or vitality in his life. He's sort of doing the thing that he knows over and over and over. He's trying to make a living with these incredible skills and these incredible talents, but he's trying to make a living in a way that isn't exactly moral, doesn't exactly have integrity. He's probably depressed. He's not very social. He's not having any personal connection with anyone. He's certainly not in love with anybody or in love with anything. And he seems to have forgotten who he is, but he is just going along unconsciously, unaware, asleep in his life. And that is his South Node. That's because he's done this so many times. Okay. So, what does Thomas Anderson need to do? What is the universe? What is his higher self? What does it do for Thomas? It pushes him into his north node. It pushes him into a journey that he's never been on, something that he's never seen. And he's forced into his north node by the universe, because very often the universe um, does push you into your north node. And that's also because, which I didn't mention before, the north node and the south node are nodes of fate, they're nodes of destiny. So we don't always, it's not always about us, it's about what we get brought to. Situations and experiences that we get brought to that maybe we don't want to get brought to, but it's a journey into the unknown, and we need to go through that. So that is the journey into the North Node. And here we have the North Node. The North Node is known as Rahu, the dragon's head. And this is where the energy is increased. This is where our soul wants us to go. It's known as the wilderness, meaning it's like the unknown. There's no map. There's nothing that can tell us to go right or left, but it's something that we have to walk through. We have to figure out a new way of living, a new way of being, a new way of thinking with this new energy, the energy of the North Node. It is foreign, it's uncomfortable. We've never done this before. It's a brand new experience or brand new experiences. It's working with new energy. And it's also realizing that we have new talents, we have new gifts, we have new desires, we have new timelines. The energy of the North Node is vitality. It wakes us up out of our sleep. It has us look at the parts of ourselves that we need to change, that we need to adjust, and it forces us to take a leap. The South Node and North Node experience is really intense. It's meant to be intense. It's something that we, a lot of times, really internally struggle with. We want to go back to something we knew, but we also want to be this and we want to try this. We want to experience this, but we're afraid of this. And it's all about riding the wave. It's a process where you're going to swing back and forth. You're going to be in your South Node for a few months, and then you might be in your North Node for a few months. And this might happen in this area, and this might happen in that area of your nodal axis. But it's all about finding balance. But before you can find that balance, it's really about living in one energy and then living in another energy and getting comfortable with that. So it's like a seesaw, it's like a wave. Okay. So, what happens when the key finds the lock? What happens when the North Node and the South Node finally sort of hook in? And this is a process. This can take years. It can take lifetimes, really. The North Node is your key to your South Node, and your South Node is your key to your North Node. The North Node and the South Node coming together are the keys to your kingdom. They're your keys to your soul. You've only, in a sense, only experienced one part of your soul. But when you begin to move into your North Node, or you're pushed into your North Node, you begin to activate another part of yourself that you didn't know, another part of your soul. And as I said before, it's a process of going back and forth between the nodal axis. It can feel very challenging. It can feel very difficult. You're essentially intuitively trying to find this balance. And if you don't know what the North Nodes and South Nodes are, if you don't know anything about astrology, then you can categorize it or define it as something else. But if you know that, then you sort of understand the process that you're going through. So the North Node is your destiny. It's your journey you go on, in which you become an alchemist. That's where you realize that you can come back to your South Node and you can turn that coin, that nodal axis, from metal into gold, because the north node is where you have your breakthrough. Your north node is where you can look back and see the bigger picture. It's literally, I want to say that the north node would be the alchemist, you stepping into the archetype of the alchemist. And when we begin to walk into our destiny, our new destiny, when we begin to take the risk of living in our north node, something really amazing begins to happen. We begin to awaken. We begin to experience joy and vitality. All of a sudden, the colors in the room light up. They're vibrant. We feel new. We feel reborn. And that's because we're changing a pattern, we're trying something new, we're exploring a new part of ourselves that we didn't even know that we had. So it's not leaving the south node behind and then just going to the north node. No, it's being willing to embrace the energy of the north node. And very often it's uncomfortable, it's foreign, it's something we've never done. But what happens when we try new things in life? Even if we fall on our faces, what happens? There's a sense of vitality. There's our inner child is awakened. There's a new strength that grows that we didn't even know we had. So experiencing your north node, making the conscious choice to walk into that, is essentially about awakening. And what happens when we begin to utilize the north node, and then we begin to also come back to the south node and look at the south node differently, integrate the south node, is what I would define as activation. Evolution. You evolve, you balance yourself, the yin and the yang balance. There's an enormous amount of growth. There is incredible wisdom that you require. You might have to, obviously work for it and fight for it, but you come back with this amazing wisdom. You get to experience duality, and that is where that vitality lands. And that's why you have that vitality, because you're experiencing the duality of who you really are. You experience expansion, and ultimately you experience the activation of your own integration. So the final product, the final evolution that your soul is really looking and pushing you towards is mastery. So all of a sudden, Thomas Anderson is no longer Thomas Anderson. He's transformed into a different version of Thomas Anderson, but he could not have done that without his north node. He becomes Neo. The north node upgrades his south node. It says, yeah, you're a Mac computer from 1997, but now you went through all this and you're able to upgrade that same Mac computer that has all those gifts, but you're able to upgrade to a 2021 version of your Mac computer. And so now we have Neo here, and he has realized who he fully is. Yes, he's experienced the south node many, many times, but now he finally gets to experience the north node come back and link the south node and the north node together. So the tail of the dragon and the head of the dragon is no longer severed, it's unified. And in that process, he has his old gifts and he has new gifts. He can stop bullets from hitting him. He can fight Agent Smith just with going into his mind and, controlling the matrix, essentially. He is unified. He has a new identity. It's a full synchronization. And this is ultimately what the north node and the south node axis is all about: mastery. Okay, so I'm going to get into a little bit about the nodal axis. So the Aries and Libra nodal axis is going to be, again, this is the same, this is two sides of the same coin. So with Aries, Aries is going to be the Aries side of the nodal axis, whether it's the north node or south node, is going to be very much about identity, self-freedom, independence, the self, what I want to do. And then the Libra axis is about the other person. It's about mastering relationships. It's about codependency. It's about being able to stand in your Aries energy in relationship to other people. It's about using relationships to master the self, to learn about the self. We have the Taurus Scorpio axis. Taurus is about your resources. It's about survival. It's about your self-worth, your security. Taurus is a sign that is very much not in favor of change. It wants to stay the same, comfortable in its resources, its security, its foods, its luxury. And Scorpio is the opposite. Scorpio is about transformation. The Scorpio part of the axis is about letting things go, losing things, death. It's about power. It's about the experience of internal power more than external power, where Taurus is the experience of external material power. The Gemini Sagittarius axis. So these are both about learning, but Gemini is more about skills, communication, and duality. And Sagittarius is more about expansion and higher learning. Gemini is more about listening, where Sagittarius is more about, this is my meaning, this is my beliefs, this is what I want. So this is the axis that's going to be explored. Both are teachers and both are learning, but they value different things. Okay, so the Cancer and Capricorn axis. The Cancer axis is going to be about the feminine, nurturing your intuition, your emotional realm, really exploring the emotional realm. And Capricorn is more about achievement. It's more about the outer world. It's more about responsibility. It's more aggressive. Cancer is more receptive. The Leo Aquarius axis. So Leo is more about creative self-expression. It's about the ego, developing the self-esteem, being seen, being the center stage. Aquarius is more about being detached. It's more about the collective. It's being the audience. It's the super ego. And Virgo and Pisces. Okay, so these are both healers, but in different ways. Virgo is about work. It's about service to others, healing others. It's more about the earth plane. It's about focusing more on the day-to-day things like routine. Pisces is more about rest as opposed to work. It's more about mysticism, your spiritual connection. Virgo is more definitive. Virgo is the sculptor of the zodiac. So they really want to define, where Pisces has no form. It's not about defining. And as you can see, the axes. So this would also go for the houses. Like if you have Aries, if you have first house and seventh house with Aries Libra, it's a similar meaning. But another thing is, when you look at your north node and your south node, the house and the sign are very important. Sometimes astrologers will say, well, no, it's the energy. It's just about the energy in this house. Like it's just about Libra, developing Libra energy in the fifth house, which is the house of creativity. But I actually disagree. I think that it's more about looking at them separately, almost like the house being an area of your life that you've never really paid attention to, you've never explored, but is part of your integration. So for example, if you're coming from a Capricorn South node, that would be a 10th house South node. You've experienced many lifetimes where you've been very successful professionally. You've been very much seen. You've mastered that. But what you haven't paid attention to, or what the house or area system, the North node, that you haven't gone to, that you haven't explored, is your family, is your home, is your private life, is your emotional sector. And then the sign is the energy that you have to also develop. So they're two different things. So yes, this is ultimately a little bit of a snapshot of the signs and the houses. but I really wanted to focus on the journey of the nodes, and it's the first time that I'm explaining it in this way. Okay, so we're open for questions right now. If anybody has any, I would be more than happy to answer.
Hi, Yarusha.
Hi.
It's good to see you. Thank you for sharing. I just would like, so obviously you and I have spoken about my chart before, but I would love for you to speak about, my North Node is in Gemini, but my wounded healer is also in Gemini, and how those can correlate to one another. I think that is actually a pretty fascinating aspect.
Yeah, so that's a great question. A lot of times in your chart, you'll notice that there's other other indications of themes. Like you'll notice that there's other indications of what the North and South Node is. So to answer your question, that to me really shows that the Chiron in Gemini is actually, in my opinion, because I do believe in past lives, that's actually the North Node is actually very much connected to a wound that you've experienced many, many times, in the sense that the North Node in Gemini was something you didn't get to experience. You were withheld from, and a lot of pain came from that. So of course the Chiron can show wounds now, emotional wounds, physical wounds. But because the North Node is there, it's so important to heal that Chiron in Gemini. It's so important to step into that Chiron in Gemini and really figure out what that represents to you, because it's your destiny. It's your destiny to heal that part of yourself. And it's very imperative in this lifetime that you do so, because it's not only from this lifetime. You were not able for many lifetimes to express yourself in that way. And it's also your North Node return now, which is very powerful to actually be doing that now. And Gemini would be anything with communication, self-expression. It's the sign of courage. It's the sign of self-made wealth. It's really about your voice and being heard and communicating, but using those gifts from your Sagittarius South Node and being able now to communicate them out into the world. So I'm not sure if that is a good explanation or...
Makes 100% sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any more questions?
Yeah, I could. Sorry, it's a beginner question. I'm familiar with the mybodygraph.com. You seem to be talking about the houses and stuff. What do you recommend for a quick chart lookup?
I always use Astrodensed, you can use astro.com or Astrodensed, and then you can go to the personal portrait, and on the bottom it'll just say all the houses. It's very easy. Like it'll say Sun in Capricorn in the 7th house.
Okay. I tried to do that, but I couldn't figure it out. I'll try it again. Thank you for the link.
You're welcome.
I have another question, if you let me.
Sure, of course.
Of course, thank you. I liked one thing you said. You actually emphasized that when we encounter things from our North Node, there will be some kind of a feeling, like active feelings, like activation. Some things are going better. We see the colors different, stuff like that. And I want to ask you, like, You know, sometimes when we encounter with some things, even though they are shallow and they're not deep or they're not useful or they're not beneficial for us, we sometimes mix things because we have some needs at that moment. So when we find something which is actually not good for us, we mix it with something beneficial because we are getting the same kind of feelings, like seeing the colors differently, having butterflies, feeling like something is changing. But then in a short time, we are realizing that, oh, it was just wrong alert. So I want to ask you, like, would you recommend any little signs, anything that we can differ the real activation, the real beneficial stuff, the real difference when we're gonna face north node signatures, like, and what can we do not to mix it and not to hold on to other wrong stuff while thinking that it's something from the north node? Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think okay, I hope I'm understanding your question right. So, well, the first thing is to learn about your nodal axis. So, I don't know if do you know about your north node and your south node and the houses and where they're placed?
No, I don't know yet. I'm gonna check it out. But generally, if the necessary feeling to like is the like good things are happening, I'm changing stuff like that. Like it's also coming sometimes by the wrong stuff. So I
Yeah.
want to know how can I differ them from each other? Does North Node signatures have anything like more specific?
Well, the first thing that I would do is learn about your north node and south node. So you know what
Okay, it changed according to that.
yeah, like so for example, if your south node is in Cancer, right? And your north node's in Capricorn, I'm just going to give an example. And your tendency is to use Cancer, so it's like overdone, right? This isn't the balanced aspect of Cancer. So the south node, your tendency is to sometimes use your emotions to get what you want, right? Because
Okay.
Cancer rules the emotions, and it's using the emotions to manipulate and get what they want, or you put your emotions in everything, right? I'm just giving an example. This isn't
Okay.
now your
It's
north.
already worked. It's already worked. Yes.
Yeah, now
I
your
can
north
now
node.
understand. And now I can understand what you mean. Like it's very up to what we have,
Yeah,
what we are left of.
yeah, you have to learn about it first to understand, And remember, one is not better than the other. It's just you need to experience the north node now to come back and heal the south node and then unify them. But you could spend a lifetime experiencing the north node. You may need to. And then you go back. And then also something else that the north node also, we can get sometimes really obsessed in the north node in an unhealthy way too, but it's okay. We're exploring all the duality of that sign. We have to do that to bring back mastery. But to answer your question, you have to first know about your nodal position, and then you'll know the answer to your question.
Okay, thank you. It helped. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, does anybody have any more questions?
I do, actually. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I wanted to ask, I noticed on my chart for some reason, I didn't exactly see my south node, but I'm just confirming based off of what you said that they're always opposites because my north node is Virgo, so it's definitely Pisces.
Yes, definitely Pisces. Yes. And I don't know if you know, do you see the house that it's in?
It's in my, Pisces is in my 7th house.
Okay, so your north node then is in Virgo in the first house. So that's a whole, that's what your journey is. That's what like your new journey is. And you've probably already been exploring it because these are points of fate. So the universe like pushes you into these things. And if you resist, it's harder, but it pushes you in. So yeah, that is correct.
That's helpful. I mean, I guess I can see Pisces, it says there it's a dreamer. So I can see where I struggle between, I'm actually a Virgo with a a rising in Virgo. So I see where I have like that push pull where I can go hard and work. And in other moments, I'm just like daydreaming and imagining things and creating things or coming up with creative stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get stuck in that middle of activating, creating.
Yeah. I think it's really cool that because I believe that you create your own birth chart before you come here. So, and it's like your blueprint. So it's really cool that you chose a Virgo rising when your North Node is in Virgo. When I see that, that to me is an indication that in this lifetime, because like your soul and you are like making that part of your chart, that energy is something you have to experience. It's something that you really have to, not you have to, it's like you're gifting the energy of your North Node already in your chart. So it's inevitable that you're here to experience that energy. And a Pisces South Node, I mean, that makes you like just an artist, that's who you are. That's what you are. But with a North Node in Virgo and a Virgo rising, Virgo is all about organizing that artistic ability and that healing ability and giving it form and making it concrete in the material world. Because a lot of South Node Pisces, they spent many lifetimes kind of like just drifting in this spiritual artistic realm, but not putting it into form.
Got it.
So that Virgo rising is amazing. Like I would think that when you really tap into that Virgo energy, which is working hard, it's like seeing the details, it's being able to spot what needs to be fixed. There's a sense of like confidence that comes and strength, but it's never about giving up the Pisces gifts. That Virgo is your Pisces sister. They're not against each other, but Pisces needs Virgo, and Virgo hasn't been experienced yet.
I can totally see that. I can see that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does anyone have any more questions?
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much. This has been really, really wonderful. I'm just curious, and I might have missed in the presentation where you discussed this, but looking at my locations of the nodes, I'm noticing that I have conjunctions on both.
Okay.
And in particular on the South node, I have a conjunction. It's in Gemini, and I have a conjunction with Venus, but at the exact same degree. They're both on the same degree.
Okay.
And then on the opposite side in Sagittarius, within like 3 degrees of that same degree, I have another conjunction over there.
And what is that?
And I'm just wondering, and that's with Neptune.
Okay. Okay.
So just like the proximity, like the being on the exact same degree as a node, is that just speaking to obviously like how heightened that planet's energy is related to the South, the past, the healing of that? Or I'd love to hear anything you have to say.
Sure. And what house is the Venus in?
Let me see here. 1, 2. I think it's the 4th house. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4th house.
Okay. And then what house is your South node in? Or is it in the same house?
Actually, no. It looks like it's in the 5th. Well, it's confusing the way that it's drawn. It looks like it's in the 5th house, but they're both listed as being at 25 degrees.
Okay. So the South node, okay, so first, planets cannot make any aspects to the nodes, but they can conjunct, okay? So when you have a node conjuncting a planet in your chart, that's very significant, okay? On first of all, it just shows that you're already working with past lives, like it already shows that. This is something that's being brought
Mm-hmm.
over from before.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, you want to understand that your South Node is your natural gifts. It's your natural talents. It's obviously, yes, it's healing, but you're bringing that into a certain part of your chart. So you're bringing it into Venus. Okay. So Venus is there. She's sitting there, and she's with this South Node in Sagittarius at the same degree. So that's extremely powerful. That's
Oh,
not.
the South Node, sorry, the South Node's in Gemini, and it's the North Node that's in Sagittarius.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
yeah, Venus is in the South.
Okay. And Venus is in Gemini.
Venus is in the South Node in Gemini, and then
And the
Sagittarius in the fourth house, and then Sagittarius.
is in
Sorry,
the
the North Node is in Sagittarius conjunct Neptune in the 11th house.
Okay. So okay, I'm just trying to understand. Okay. So
Yeah, sorry.
no, that's okay. So all right. So Venus has to do with your relationships. It has to do with your self-worth. It has to do with what you would, it's like a magnet. Venus is a magnet in the chart. Okay. Venus is all about the feminine and the divine feminine. But it has a lot to do with how we love others and relationships as well. It has to do with beauty. And so you have that South Node conjuncting Venus. So obviously, I can get into that very deeply because there's a lot there, but I will say that in terms of your relationships, in terms of any one-on-one relationships, any friendships, partnerships, how you love, how you show up, and also how you naturally attract, that's something that's coming back into this lifetime that you get to upgrade with that North Node. So that area is like, oh, okay, I've experienced this South Node over and over. I want to bring it back and utilize it with my Venus, but go on my North Node journey and then bring it back and create mastery even more in this area of my life. And then the fourth house is your family. It's your emotions. It's your soul. It's your most private life. It's like owning property. I'm giving you just that one example. So because it's South Node, as you keep continuing with your North Node experiencing your journey, that part of your chart's going to change. You're going to experience new energies. It's like that whole area of your life gets to get up leveled, upgraded, activated in a way that you've never experienced in your entire life. And that area of your life, Venus, for some reason, is very important for that to happen. Does that
Yeah,
make
it's yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting. Like this is very new to me still, so it's opening. It's very much opening.
The North Node, and I'll just say this quickly, and then the North Node with the Neptune, Neptune can sometimes cloud our vision. It can sometimes is something that we don't see clearly. And Sagittarius is all about, North Node and Sagittarius is all about like finding your meaning, finding what it is inside of you that is your truth and living that out. And so I kind of see with Neptune being there, sort of this process of like getting rid of the fog, like getting rid of the illusion of your path in that way. I mean, that's one aspect of it.
Oh, I feel that so deeply. Yeah.
And
like
so
what is the mission?
yeah, what your mission is. That Sagittarius is all about like being connected to a mindset of faith, of God, having that mission, having that purpose, taking that arrow and focusing on that. But Neptune there can sort of make that confusing sometimes and cloudy. And so part of the North Node mission is to be confused sometimes, to be clouded. It's part, you're using Neptune to help you define what your mission is. So that's what I see there.
Super interesting. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you know, just reflecting on like Gemini's desire to accumulate information and to have knowledge, right? And kind of like facts and evidence, and then
Exactly.
Neptune working completely against that impulse.
The thing with the
Yeah.
North Node in Sagittarius is it's experiencing the opposite of that. It's experiencing the North Node in Sagittarius have so much talent and energy and just jumping and the net appearing before them. But Gemini South Node is like, no, 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 I need to know if that's there. I need the facts. And Sagittarius is like, no, like I'm magic. Like things are magic. Like I move and then there's my car and I can drive and take my adventure. That's what this is about now.
So special. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I'm trying to read this sign, the chart. I pulled it from that website. And yes,
okay.
I just want to make sure, because it's so teeny tiny, that I'm seeing this correctly. I should be looking for this symbol that looks like the North Node symbol, but it has a T in the middle of it. If I'm looking at that, is that the correct symbol that I should be looking for?
You can also go to personal portraits. You can go to personal portraits and it will actually write everything out for you on the bottom of the page. If you want to do that, that's a lot easier. That's a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm having trouble navigating this site in general. So it's not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, it's not easy to figure out what to click to get to the right spot. That was.
Rashina will help you with it. The moderator will help you figure it out. Like she'll send it to you or something.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have, let's see, a 12th house Leo, North Node. No, excuse me, South Node, and Aquarius in the 6th. So with 12th house being the house of secrets, how does that play into the schematic of everything? Plus my Aquarius in 6th is a retro.
Which is the North Node and which is the South Node?
The South Node is the 12th house, Leo.
Okay. And then the North Node is in the 6th
house, Aquarius, but it's retrograde.
Yeah, the North Node is always retrograde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's always
retrograde. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And
with the 6th house being, excuse me, the 12th house being the house of secrets, how does that play into everything?
Well, I mean, the 12th house is a lot more than just the house of secrets.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the 12th house?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got 5 planets there.
Okay. So how does the 12th house play into secrets? I'll answer this specifically. The 12th house is the most hidden house in astrology.
Okay.
It's the most hidden house. So people who, like, let's say have a sun in the 12th house, they're very hidden. You don't really know them. Who they are in itself. Who they are in itself is a secret. It's not that they're trying to do that. It just is. They're a secret. They understand the secrets of the universe. They understand the veil, what's behind the veil. They don't have to talk about it. That's 12th house energy, is like, I understand what other people can't see. I see what other people can't see. As a 12th houser, I'm not even supposed to speak on it. That you've come from that experience, I forgot the sign. I'm sorry, I forgot the sign that was Leo. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I would say that you could have been very hidden in past lives. You could have spent many lifetimes in monasteries and asylums, whether you were in it or you were helping people in it. You could have been like a spiritual healer, a spiritual guru with that South Node in Leo. You could have definitely been known for that. But it didn't mean that you told everybody about it. You could have kept that a secret. So the 12th house is a secret. Everything about it is a secret.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I don't, yeah.
No, Yeah, it's interesting because I come in with, well, the Leo, I have 5 planets in the 12th house. So I have my sun and my rising in the 12th house, which I find interesting. And then to have Aquarius, which is the, I'm going to say the speaker per se, that is more community minded and out in the open. And I'm being hidden. I find that very interesting for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Aquarius is about the super ego. It's about everybody else. It's about the
Right.
community, the group. Yeah, absolutely. So you see now how like there has to be a different experience now to come back to that 12th house,
Right.
back to that Leo.
Thank you for helping me understand this.
Oh, you're welcome. Sure. I'm just gonna take a step for a second. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We are at time. I just wanted to go through a couple of things right here. So with the astro.com website, in the recap email, I'm going to show you how you will arrive at getting your personal portrait. But I also wanted to encourage you guys. Yarusha is offering a special reading right now. So if you guys have questions or you want to dive into this more deeply, I strongly recommend booking with her. She's incredible. I'll put that link right here. It will also be in the recap email as well. And then if you want to follow her on Instagram, she's always giving lots and lots of juicy content, which she speaks a lot about the North Node and the nodal axis, but other things relating to astrology. So that's in there as well. Thank you so much. Another thing that I recommend, Ashley, is if the astro.com chart is confusing to read, which it actually is confusing to read, go to ChaniNicholas.com. Her website seems to be down right now, but look at Placidius instead of whole signs. So I'll write that there. You can have the option to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you guys so much, everyone. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Have a lovely, lovely Sunday. If you're in New York, enjoy the snow.
Thank you.